Hey there, so I've got this N64 and we're going to open it up and I'm going to show you how to basically clean one of these out, and we're going to do an LED mod so that this logo here ends up being backlit. So I guess let's start with opening it. So what you need is a game bit driver, and this is the larger size. There's two sizes. One is good for opening games and the other for consoles itself. So there is 6 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So all you need to do is unscrew those, and then the case will lift right off. Alright, so I have that unscrewed. One other thing is you may want to remove this, either the jumper pack or the expansion pack, whichever you happen to have installed here, as it does somewhat pin the top casing down. So set that aside. When you remove the screws, the bottom feet just fall out, so just again set those aside. You don't need them right now. And then the top should just lift right off. So you get a good look at the board here. Most of this is a big heat sink here, so we're going to dust this off, but this is an otherwise pretty good shape, so we don't really need to worry too much about this. There's nothing here that I see that needs to be repaired or needs to be really thoroughly cleaned. It's just a little bit of a dusting, so I'm not going to go into tearing apart this whole thing. The top we are going to clean, so we're going to remove the cartridge slot a little bit later, the buttons, and give them a good wash. Okay, so I've stripped it down to just the LED here, so we can see the LED connecting into the board and the solder points on the back. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this LED in place so that we still have the red indicator, but I'm going to run a second LED in parallel right above it here, so it will stand up like that, and that will illuminate this N64 logo. So before I put that in, there's a couple things to know about LEDs. So you note that there's 2 different size legs. The longer one is always positive, and it does matter which way you put it in. So on the N64, positive is on the right side. So the longer leg has to attach on the right side, the shorter one can attach to the left. So yeah, but before we get to that, we have to get this cover off. So the logo, it's just really a sticker and it can pop right off, but it takes a little bit of work. So I'm going to try and get this off just by peeling it. If it gives me a hard time, I'm going to use some hot air to loosen up the adhesive. So I'll be back once it's off. Okay, so this came off fairly easily. So what I need to do is get this gunk off. So I'm going to try and work on getting that stuff off. It's just adhesive on the back. But most importantly, we need to cut out this. So I'm going to use a Dremel tool to cut open kind of a triangular shape here, and that will allow the light to come through. So I'm going to find the Dremel tool and we'll get that started. Okay, so I've got the N64 kind of secured here, and I'm going to use a Dremel. So Dremel's really just a brand, but what it is an oscillating cutter, and it's going to hopefully cut across the top, down, and down. Yeah, so let's give it a go. Alright, so let's see if this just comes up. No. So we have to get these, let's see if I can focus this a bit better here. Doesn't like focusing in this kind of light. So I have to cut these a little bit more. So I'm going to go at that, and once it's out, I'll be back. Alright, so this is all cut out. It doesn't have to be super pretty because the light's going to sit right in there and it will shine out, and this will all be covered anyways, but you need enough room for the light to shine through that logo. So time to bring it back and we'll set up the LED. Okay, so to continue to disassemble this, we flip the cover over, and really all there is to it is two screws, one here and one here, and that holds down the cartridge slot holder. So we will open this up. Set the two screws aside, and I mean that's in pretty good shape. So we're just going to give it a wash to get the dust out, but otherwise it's all good. And then we have the two cartridge slot covers, which just pop right out. They have two springs, and that's it. So we're going to set all that aside. Lastly, we have the power and the reset button. So to get these out, you just pinch together the sides here, and it pops right out. There we go. So that's all disassembled. What I'm going to do is bring it upstairs to the sink, fill it with hot water, soap, let it soak for a bit, and then we'll give it a good scrub. So I'll be back once this is all ready to go. Okay, so now that it's clean, we're ready to start reassembly. So there's still a couple little splatters of water in here, so I'm not going to put the lid on top just yet, but I'm going to get it put together. So what you do, you start with the cartridge slot cover. So one piece goes there, one piece goes here. You have the two springs, so we have to get the springs in place to provide the tension. And the spring has a short side and a long side. So how it works is quite simple. Where's the other one here? There we go. So the short side goes on the cartridge door. The long side simply rests against this post. So that's one. Same idea with the other one. Short side goes on the cartridge door, long side rests against this wall. So we gotta put this side in first. And there we go. So those are ready to go. Next, we're going to have the door put on. Now, one thing you could do, if you wanted to remove the region locking so that you can play Japanese carts, these little square corners have to be cut out. That's simply because the cartridges are a different size in Japan than they are here. If you don't care to play Japanese games, then you just put it on how it is. So just like this. And then we have two screws. One goes here, and one will go here. Perfect. All that's left now is power switch, which goes on the left side. Make sure that you have the word power facing the right way. And then the reset. So that will go right here. The last part for me is going to be this Nintendo logo. Since I removed it to do the Backlight mod, I'm going to have to get some two-sided tape in order to stick it back on. But it will just go, this tab on the bottom will sit in place here, and then the tape will hold it around the edge. So for now it's going to sit out, but eventually it's going to need to go back in. You may not have to do this yourself if you're not doing the Backlight mod. Then it just goes in place, and you will screw in these 6 screws on the bottom. So make sure that the feet get put on before anything else. And then we have 6 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once those are in, you're done and it's ready to play. Start, we're gonna get this larger plate, and this just simply fits back right in here. And then these 2 screws, the one with the little washers, those will sit underneath and they will screw in on these 2 holes right here. Next, we've got this little flat piece, and that just fits right here. And the 2 black screws are going to hold this one in. The 2 long screws are going to go right in beside the expansion pack slot, just like that. And then finally, this piece of metal goes right in there. There is 2 little hooks on it. Let me pull it out again. So there's 2 little hooks on the top of that, and that's supposed to slide right into this plastic right there. Now this one only has 1 screw right there, because the second screw is actually one of the case screws that goes through the bottom, so we just leave that. Now we get the top of the case and we'll put it in place just to make sure that it fits properly. Okay, so I just wanted to show you what I'm doing here with this LED mod. So I've decided to go ahead and get a little project board here and mount the LEDs right on this board. So I'm going to use 5 of them. I want to disperse the light more thoroughly through the hole so there's not single focal points. So I've spaced them out nicely, and on the back side of it I've wired all the positive terminals together, and all the negatives I've twisted together and wired it down to this LED down here. So what happens in theory when I power it on, we should get light at this LED, and all 5 of these LEDs should power up. So power, and we have glow. So that's definitely good. I think we're good to go. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get the glue gun out. We're going to mount this in the top shell. I've purposely left all this slack here because I want to be able to take apart the top shell without, having to desolder this right away. That way, if someone needs to take this apart in the future, you just take the top apart, put it off to the side, making sure that there's plenty of slack here. So I'm going to get this put together and we'll see what it looks like in action. Okay, so I've dimmed the lights, I've attached the LED board into the top half of the case, and this is going to be what it looks like once you turn it on. Oops, sorry, I don't have this glued in place yet, so it fell right off. But so we have the light up Nintendo 64 logo. It's still a little kind of separated more than I would like, so I might try and tinker with that a little bit and see if I can get it looking better. But that's the basic gist behind it. So the back now lights up. It looks actually better in person than it does through a camera, but it's definitely something that it's not a difficult mod to do, and definitely makes it look a little bit better, a little cooler than you're used to playing back in the 90s. So I'm going to show you a little bit kind of how it looks installed, and then that's going to be about it for this video. Okay, so with the cover off, this is kind of how it looks behind the scenes. And so it's glued into place into the top of the case, so it won't really move around with the console when you bang it around. The cords are coiled up underneath here, so there is room if I want to take the top off. I can remove it and the cords uncoil here. You just have to be careful not to completely rip it. When you go to replace it, the other thing to keep in mind is trying to keep the cords out of the expansion bay. So that's the other trick, and just something that you have to think of if you ever take this apart. Otherwise, this is all, really, it's set to go. So I'm going to glue this little Nintendo logo into place here, and then screw the bottom on, but it's all set. So this was that Nintendo I picked up, and you know, for a cheap Nintendo 64, couple bucks of parts, put an LED mod in, and it's one of a kind again. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope this was informative. I hope this will help you do your own LED mod on your own Nintendo 64. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel. You can see more repairs and mods as I get more systems. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time.